What if the stories that haunt the darkest corners of the internet weren't just fiction? Imagine being stalked by twisted creatures, cursed to death, or dragged into a nightmare where escape is impossible. These creepypastas aren't just stories. They're terrifying characters that could reach you easily through your screen. Are you ready to face the terror that lurks in the shadows? Because once you hear these, you may never sleep the same again. Let's dive in, but be warned, you may not survive this experience. Slenderman. Slenderman is described as a tall, faceless figure, known for his ability to stretch his limbs to unnatural lengths. He's often depicted wearing a black suit, with no facial features except for empty. He's believed to be an ancient entity, existing for centuries, drawing his power not only from fear, but anguish from those who he stalks. Now look, most of the time Slenderman is preying on children, because they're the easiest to manipulate in his mind. He usually lures the people to either the forest or abandoned buildings. And once he chooses you as one of his proxies, the end is near, because he can not only manipulate reality, but distort the environment around his victims. He uses his tentacles to capture and abduct them, often driving some of those proxies to self-delete. And his main goal is to create suffering and fear, feeding off of the victim's terror. Slenderman's survival rate is absolutely zero because, as I said, anyone who becomes one of his proxies either A, does what he tells them to do, or B, self-deletes. And it seems like once you've been chosen, there is absolutely zero escape. His supernatural abilities and mind control, on top of dimension manipulation, make him a nearly unstoppable force. Now, I know I'm not the only one that when I first heard the story of Slenderman, I actually thought it was real. And there's also been multiple crimes committed by younger people who have actually thought that they heard Slenderman. Even the one where a girl took her best friend to the woods, stabbed her like 47 times, and left her there to die. Luckily, the girl survived, and the other girl did end up going to jail and getting psychiatric help because she said that Slenderman told her to do it. Now, yes, technically it's just a creepypasta, but he has technically touched the real world. Jeff the Killer. Jeff was once a normal and happy teenager, before, of course, all of the traumatic events turned him into a bloodthirsty killer. After being attacked by a group of bullies, Jeff's face was mutilated, and he became consumed with hatred and rage. He now, of course, wears a ghoulish smile, often depicted with dark and hollow eyes. Now look, Jeff didn't start out like this. Jeff was just a normal person up until the point of where he got bullied so bad, they threw hot water on him, causing his face to completely tear, making him look like the Jeff the Killer we all know today. Now, Jeff the Killer is a sadistic killer who targets those who seem happy and content in their life, and murders them in the most horrifying ways possible. He often lurks in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, usually sneaking into his victim's home at nighttime. Now look, me personally, I always got my doors locked. I have every single door in my house locked at all times. It's never a question to me whether the door is locked or not. I know that it's locked. Now your chances with Jeff the Killer are slim to none, due to the fact that he's extremely relentless, and he'll never stop until the victim that he chooses is dead. Because once his fixation starts and his obsession is on you, the only way to break that obsession is by you dying. Now, of course, we all know Jeff the Killer ain't real. Anybody who's gonna say, dude, you're talking about fake stories, I understand that. And for anybody who thinks that these killers are actually real, no, they're not. They're creepypastas. The Rake. The Rake is described as a horrifying creature that resembles a humanoid figure with sharp claws, pale skin, and unsettlingly long limbs. It's a nocturnal predator, only seen in the dead of night. Of course, when its victims are most vulnerable. The creature is often associated with sleep paralysis, where it attacks its victims, while they are awake but unable to move. Now, the Rake is described to be some kind of supernatural being, kind of like a skinwalker. That's the best way for me to describe the Rake. It's a humanoid-like creature that's not technically a human. It also uses sleep paralysis, so say you're sleeping, right? You're having a really good sleep. All of a sudden, you wake up and you see this creature with razor-sharp claws, pale skin standing over you. You can't move. That's what sleep paralysis does. If you've never experienced sleep paralysis, it pretty much means that you're wide awake and you see something, but you can't move at all. And that's exactly when the Rake will kill you. The Rake preys on people during the night, stalking them silently before launching into a brutal attack. It often causes hallucinations and dream terrors, waking its victims up psychologically before attacking them physically. The goal of this creature is not only to torment and kill, leaving only horror in its wake. So let me get this straight. Bro does not only terrorize you in your dreams, he terrorizes you so much that you wake up from that dream in a sleep paralysis state and then kills you. I don't want to see no comments about anybody saying anything about, oh, I'd survive the Rake. You have no choice. Sleep paralysis, you're like this. You can't move. You're awake, you can see, but you can't move. There is nothing you're going to be able to do. I'm getting tired of this. I'm built different. You're not built different. We're all getting cooked by the Rake. Smile Dog. Smile Dog is an evil entity that appears as a disturbing image of a dog with a ghoulish, unnatural smile. The image is typically spread through email, and anyone who receives the email is now marked. And the curse will eventually cripple them to pass the image on to someone else or face a horrifying death. Now, Smile Dog is kind of like the Ring. If you watch the Ring tape, you have 7 days before you die, or you could pass it on to someone else, keeping yourself safe. It's the same exact premise with Smile Dog, except it's a terrifying image of a dog smiling. Now, of course, the image itself is not cursed. We all know that. But back in the day when Smile Dog came out, people genuinely thought that Smile Dog was an actual cursed image. And if you didn't spread it with people, you would die. Smile Dog operates through a cursed email attachment. Once the recipient sees the image, they're doomed. The curse causes not only nightmares, but hallucinations, and a gradual mental breakdown, eventually leading to the victim's death if they don't forward the email. Once the email is open, the curse has begun, and there's no real way to break it, besides, of course, sending that email to someone else. Passing it on might be the only way to actually save your own life, but it's technically only temporary. Yes, you'll live a little bit longer, but the curse has a weird way of coming full circle, ensuring that no one escapes. It's a morality question. What would you do if you got the smile dog image emailed to you? Would you send it to people, or would you sit on it for yourself? That's the question. The Russian sleep experiment. In the 1940s, a group of Russian soldiers were subject to an inhumane sleep deprivation experiment. They were locked inside of a sealed chamber, given stimulant drugs, and forced to stay awake for days on end. As the soldiers slowly lost their sanity, horrifying mutations and violent behaviors began to emerge, leading into a nightmarish chain of events. Now look, the longest I ever stayed up was 2 days. They had these people up for like a full week, and they're in a room together, and they slowly start losing their mind. And of course, what do? They start killing each other. Now, technically, there's no entity in this story. It's the manifestation of inhuman suffering and madness caused by this experiment that made the soldiers mutate. The experiment, of course, comes to an end with some of the soldiers actually screaming so loud that their vocal cords ripped. And when doctors came in to try and save them, I say that loosely, they ended up killing them. There were 0 survivors of the Russian sleep experiment. Once again, the Russian sleep experiment is not real. This is a creepypasta. Just want to get that across because I know some people are going to be like, yo, is this story real? Like, where did you hear this? It's a creepypasta. We're talking about in terms of if it was real, because obviously it's not. So I don't want to hear no comments. Chris, look, this is what I would do. I've stayed up for 2 weeks before. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. 0 chance. You heard me? 0 chance. Ben Drowned. Ben Drowned is a ghost of a young boy who died during a drowning accident, who now inhabits a haunted video game cartridge, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. The player of the game begins to notice a strange occurrence in the game's world, with Ben, a vengeful spirit, manipulating the game's reality and creating terrifying supernatural events. Now, for a little context, Ben is the kid that had the cartridge before the person that we're talking about right now. Ben was the original player. Now that he drowned, he's now haunting that actual video game cartridge itself, meaning anyone playing the game is technically now haunted by Ben. Ben haunts the player by breaking the fourth wall, entering the physical world. The spirit manipulates the game to torment and scare the player, causing objects to move and terrifying messages to appear. And Ben's influence expands way beyond the game, bleeding into the real world, where he seeks to cause harm. Now, since Ben drowned, he wants to be back. He wants to come back to the actual human world, but he can't. So what do? You end up terrorizing anybody playing this copy of Majora's Mask. Ben also seems to be able to influence a lot of things in our world, from the spirit world of haunting that cartridge. Now, me personally, I'm just not playing the game. Once I see somebody named Ben, I'm deleting the profile and starting a new game. I don't want to play on anybody else's save file. I think that might be the only way to actually survive Ben Drown. Just don't play on a save file. You should be okay. But in reality, once Ben has his target on someone, he not only twists reality, but the boundaries between the game world and the real world start to blur, making it nearly possible to escape his influence. Because you'll start thinking you're in the video game when you're in real world, and there ain't no escaping that. The Black-Eyed Children. The Black-Eyed Children are young, seemingly innocent children with black, soulless eyes that appear at night, knocking on doors and windows, asking people for permission to enter. They're often described as having a strange, unnatural presence, and those who encounter them are filled with an overwhelming sense of dread. Now look, I'm just saying it here. Anybody comes and knocks on my door at nighttime and they don't have any eyes, I'm looking through the peephole, you ain't coming in. You're not coming in, it don't matter. Kid, adult, grandma, it don't matter. If my own grandmother came to my door and had no eyes, shorty ain't coming in. The Black-Eyed Children's primary goal is to gain access of your home or car. Once they are allowed in, they exhibit strange powers, often manipulating the environment, causing the feeling of extreme fear. Their true nature is unknown, but it is believed that they are agents of evil, serving dark forces. So you're telling me that there are children with no eyes, working for some dark lord down below, and coming into my house to cause me fear? Bruh, be for real. Like I said, anybody that looks soulless ain't coming in my house. Now your survival chances are more or less none, because once you allow them to enter, which I know most of you will because you'll feel bad, it is believed that they will either kill you or possess you, and if you refuse them, they'll haunt you, causing misfortune and fear, and may even return with greater malice. So all the keyboard warriors in my comment section right now saying, Chris, look, I'm not getting packed up by no children. Listen, I know 95% of you are not as cold as me. I'm not letting no one in my crib, but I know you, if you hear and it looks like little Timmy's outside, I know you're letting him in for a fact. And once he's inside, he's either going to kill you or possess you. What's worse, being killed or possessed by a child? Yeah, y'all are cooked. And finally, you have Tails doll. The Tails doll is a cursed character from the Sonic the Hedgehog video game. In the creepypasta lore, it is said that the doll is inhabited by a malevolent spirit. Those who come into contact with it are cursed and haunted by the doll, often through the game itself. So that means if you're a fan of playing Sonic, you gotta be careful. As I love Tails. Tails is one of my favorite characters. Now, Shadow badass, especially in the new movie. But Tails is cool. I like Tails. You gotta be careful, because Tails might not actually be Tails. The doll is said to have a life of its own, moving on its own when left alone. It targets those who interact with the cursed game, often appearing in strange and ominous ways. The doll seeks to claim its victims by trapping them in the game and haunting them in their sleep. Here we go. We got another sleep demon creepypasta here. You gotta worry about playing a haunted cartridge of a video game to where the creature tries to either A, trap you inside of the video game, or haunts you in your dreams. It seems like the curse of the Tails doll will follow you everywhere, and the creature inside of it is completely relentless in its pursuit. So that means bro ain't giving up on you. It's just not gonna happen. Tails ain't giving up on you. Tails wants you. And I know I'm not the only one who actually does enjoy Sonic, so the next time I'm watching it or playing it, I gotta be careful. So there you have it. Those are some absolutely terrifying creepypastas that you have zero chance of surviving. These creatures are malevolent entities that prey on the unsuspecting, driving their victims into madness and death. If you're unlucky enough to encounter one, you have little to no chance of survival. Now look, before anybody comments, creepypastas are not real. I have made a ton of videos talking about creepypastas where people actually do think that they are real things. They are not, and it is not something that you actually have to be scared of. I'm talking about it personally because I find it interesting and it's fun, and you guys seem to enjoy it. These are not things that I'm actually scared of. When I was younger, yeah, Slenderman was scary. For sure, Slenderman was scary. I gotta worry about someone trying to abduct me with tentacles and make me do stuff I don't want to do to other people. I'm good off that. Like I said, I just wanted to preface that creepypastas are not real. This is strictly for fun. But if they were real, none of you were surviving any of them. But hopefully you guys did go and enjoy today's video, and if you did, don't forget to smack a like on it. That'd be greatly appreciated. Comment down below what else you guys want to see on the channel. And once again, thank you guys so much for all the recent support on the channel. It truly does mean the world to me. Comment down below if you guys would like a part 2, because there are a ton more creepypastas that I would love to cover. I just didn't want to spam you guys with too many. But with all of that being said, guys, my name is Chris, and of course, I will catch you guys on the next one.